Assalamualaikum, madam. My name is Sister, and my matrix number is UDC 210377. And I will go through the introduction of the company we've chosen, that is Panasonic and Pensonic. Panasonic, which is the Matsushita company, was founded by the late Tansri Matsushita Konosuke. Matsushita Miracle began with its vision to contribute to the welfare of mankind by providing a sufficient number of products and services at an affordable price. Today, that vision has turned into a giant global business in more than 130 countries around the world. The well-known Panasonic brand is easy to recognize, but behind its popular name and the wide range of durable consumer goods that bear the label is the manufacturer. The basis of the brand success, Panasonic Manufacturing Malaysia berhad PMMA. As the first factory in Malaysia to produce home appliances, the company confidently took on its parent company in Japan. Over the years, the company started as a dry cell battery manufacturer and quickly developed into one of Malaysia's leading high-tech electrical appliance manufacturers. Today, the Panasonic brand has become one of the most popular and trusted home appliance brands chosen by most households in Malaysia. Panasonic manufactures, operates, supplies, and services a wide range of products under the Panasonic brands at a globally competitive model in the market with excellent after-sales service, which is as important as new features, enhancements, and improved quality. As for the Pensonic, it was founded in 1965, which is known as Kit Radio and Electrical Co. in Balik Pulau Pinang, started with a humble beginning as a small home appliance retailer laboratory. Kit Radio and Electrical Co. led into the current conglomerate by its founder, Datuk Sri Chu Wengkat. The company first branch was founded in 1974, and 2 years later, they engaged in the import, export, and distribution of electrical household appliances. Kit Radio and Electrical Co. was incorporated into a private limited company in 1977. Finally, in 1982, Pensonic Sales and Service Sdn Bhd has come into existence with several branches across Malaysia to house the fast-growing company under a single umbrella group. In 1982, Pensonic Group began importing and manufacturing its first audio and visual products under the Pensonic brand. Pensonic was registered as a trademark in Malaysia in 1984 and is now registered in over 20 countries, paving the way for global expansion. In 1988, Pensonic Group began manufacturing and selling electrical home appliances under the Pensonic brand. Now, this Malaysian-owned and operated brand has made history with the country's first made in Malaysia home appliance. For the first time, a variety of locally designed and manufactured electrical products have taken their place among popular Japanese, European, and American brands. That's all for the introduction. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi madam, my name is Nur Alia Amira. My matrix number is UDC 210315. Today I will explain about liquidity ratio. First, Panasonic has current ratio of 4.385 times, more than 2 indicate that the company has enough asset to cover its liability. Meanwhile, Pensonic has a current ratio of 1.379 times, less than 2 indicate that Pensonic do not have enough asset to cover its liability. So the idea of 2 times cannot be applied to all companies due to different type of industry have different type of requirement.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Abdul Hakim bin Edi Muzaffar. My matrix is UDC 210234. I will do a quick ratio. Panasonic has a quick ratio of 3.95 times. Then one indicates that the company has enough assets to cover its liability. Meanwhile, Pensonic has a quick ratio of 0.78 times, less than one indicates that Pensonic do not have enough asset to cover its liability. Therefore, Pensonic has to make sure there's reduction by paying off their accounts payable, and at the same time, they can offer promotion to their customer to encourage early payment. With this, Pensonic can increase their cash bank and can reduce their inventory.
Assalamualaikum madam, I'm Shafia Shazia. My matric number is UDC 210349. So our efficiency ratio is inventory turnover rate ITR is equal to COGS / average or closing stock. So we have two, which is Panasonic has 11.10 higher ratio than Panasonic, which is 4.79. That's me. Panasonic able to sell the inventories in 32 days and the Panasonic needs 75 days to sell the inventories. That's all. Thank you.
For accounts receivable, Panasonic has 38 days, that less than 14 days, to collect debt from their debtors. Meanwhile, Panasonic takes 71 days to collect debt from their debtors. This means Panasonic was more efficient in debt collection than Panasonic. For total asset turnover, Pensonic has higher ratio indicates that the firm is generating a higher volumes of sales with the given amount of asset. Meanwhile, a lower ratio industry than the industry indicates that the company needs to increase its sales.
So next, I will explain about leverage ratio. First, Panasonic debt ratio of 16.44% is lower than 50%. Meanwhile, Panasonic debt ratio is 53.84%, more than 50%. The assets that are financed by equity are lower than financed by debt, and this is not good for investors due to high risk. This will make it difficult for Pensonic to get additional loan.
Times interest earned, Panasonic times interest earned is 7.2, which is lower than Panasonic times interest earned, which is 10. However, a company that have higher the TIE could indicate a lack of productive investment, and lower TIE means less earnings are available to meet interest payments, but failure to fulfill this obligation may force the company to go bankrupt.
For the net profit margin, Panasonic net profit margin is 11.95%, which is more than 10%, considered average. Meanwhile, Panasonic net profit margin is 4.38%, less than 10%, which considered an average because a low net profit margin stands at 5%. That's for the net profit margin.
Return on asset, Panasonic has 12% return on asset, more than Pensonic, which is 5.5%. This indicates that management ability to make profits in Panasonic is good than Pensonic. Return on equity, Panasonic has 10% of equity, which is more higher than Pensonic, which is 12%. This means the higher the return on equity, the better return to shareholder.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Aujida Mikal and I will proceed the presentation to recommendation. Based on the calculation of liquidity ratio for the two companies, Panasonic shows more positive numbers compared to Pensonic in both current ratio and quick ratio. Though Pensonic ratio is still in good position, just less than Panasonic. The reason why Panasonic is lower is probably because of suffering from financial situation like increase in short-term debt and current assets decreasing, which can affect their company to give rise to their company's revenue. To improve the company's performance, they can control overhead expenses, let go of unnecessary assets by selling them, and always check on their debt obligations. Next, on efficiency ratio, Panasonic seems to dominate except for total asset turnover, which Panasonic numbers show slightly higher. Incapacitated in sales or overstocking could be the reason why inventory turnover ratio for Pensonic is lower. Average collection period can also affect Pensonic account receivable turnover ratio. As for total asset turnover, poor inventory management and tax collection methods could be the hit to Panasonic ratio performance. In order for Pensonic to have a better performance, they need to foresee their inventory items position in their product life cycle and provide accurate, prompt invoice all the time. As for Panasonic, they can try leasing instead of buying assets to reduce the cost. Thank you.
For leverage ratio, for debt ratio, Panasonic got higher ratio numbers for both debt ratio and times interest earned. Since Panasonic debt ratio is above 50%, they are in a high risk level that can affect the company assets. To overcome this situation, Panasonic need to start making plans for settling their debts and avoid on taking more debt. Increasing in borrowings or decrease in earnings might be the reason why Panasonic times interest earned is lower. To enhance the ratio performance, the company can increase earnings by sell more products and decrease their expenses. For recommendation, profitability ratio, Panasonic quotes net profit margin and return on equity as higher numbers, while return on asset held by Pensonic. Cost of Pensonic net profit margin to be low is perhaps due to ineffective cost structure and pricing strategies. The solution for this cost is the company need to decrease the operating costs and lower or decrease their products prices depending on the market and product suitability. When Panasonic company's revenue and profits are low, the return on equity ratio will decrease. So what they can try to do is to improve asset turnover and reduce the value of shareholders' equity. A low return on assets might shows that the business is unable to utilize its resources to their full potential in order to increase earnings. To change this, Panasonic need to oversee their expense in asset, preferably monthly, and increase net income.